Well, hello, my soul friends. It's Victoria on Tuesday Lives, my transformational musings, my soul musings, whatever's on my heart, whatever I feel might be of service to whoever's out there, whoever's listening, whoever's with me. There's a few people with me now, so welcome and welcome to the Soul Nurture channel. It's really a heart and soul gift from me to you to just sort of remind people out there you're not alone, that we're all sort of navigating this world as souls, having a human experience. And I happen to have been on a spiritual journey for quite some time, since I was a kid, and professionally supporting people through their transformational transitions and just navigating the human experience with compassion, acceptance, and some tools in our toolbox that are embracing what is from an opportunity for evolving, growing, transforming, and ultimately accessing the potential Creator put within our beings to fulfill that and to contribute our purpose. I think all of our purposes are needed, all of us are needed, and we all have something to contribute. This is my little contribution, a little YouTube channel that's still unfolding, and I also have an Instagram channel that I've been sort of trying to update a little bit. It was kind of wasn't giving much focus there, so I'm kind of back there. If you want to meet me there, posting almost daily, you can engage with me there or here. And in terms of engagement through YouTube, love it if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to today. Explore some of my other videos, see if they speak to you, then subscribe. But I love engagement through the comments. It's so fun. It helps me know where my message is landing. Maybe I've supported somebody out there. Always helpful. Love to know where you're viewing from. And feel free to ask any questions. Just think of it as sort of free support. I'm here to offer you support. And I will put my website in the description if you need additional support. If you feel drawn to what I'm offering, go look at my website to see if what I offer as a soul guide, as a Jungian-based spiritual director. Basically, I walk alongside of my clients and they're the expert of their lives, but I just offer some support to get them to where they want to go. Okay, welcome. And I see I have Jamie with me here tonight. Thank you, Jamie. A couple other people watching. And if you want to say hello, please do. Be happy to answer any questions. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about today. I did have a loose topic, but before we get into that, I'll know more after we drop in for a little meditation. So I'm looking for there it is, meditation bowl. Before I go into meditation, let's just do a quick check in with yourselves. We're going to dive in deeper through the meditation for a deeper connection to your inner world, a pause, a moment to just reflect. How are you doing? I always love to know, but more importantly, it's important for you to know how you're doing. I find more and more in this work. Hello, Cher. Oh, I'm so honored that you're here. Gosh, thank you for being here. But I find more and more as I do this work, and of course my own inner work, my own soul work, how easy it is, especially for those of you who are drawn to the role of a healer, a therapist, a support person, Enneagram 2s, anyone here at Enneagram 2, that we have a tendency to overlook ourselves and focusing outward on where's the next need and how can I meet it to support others. So I invite you to let this just be a time for you to be present to you. And hopefully, just hopefully, I'll have something to say today that speaks to you right where you are. But more importantly, whatever I say, remember, it's going to go through you. And this happens all the time with my clients. They'll come back from a session and they'll say, you know how you said the thing about the thing? And I'm like, well, I said something like that, but I didn't say that. But they heard it the way they needed it. So that's what happens. That tells you that your soul is always present, always wanting you to get those moments of awareness, insights. That's the guidance that's for you. And someone like me is just helping bring some light to your own guidance. How about that? Okay, so let's just drop in for a moment. And I invite you just to go ahead and close your eyes. And got tickly hairs on my face. Always happens when I go on camera. Don't know why. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, turn within, close your eyes, disconnect from your external world, and drop inward to your inner world. This sacred inner world where only you and the divine can be. No one else is allowed entry, although we can become aware the more we do this work of dropping in. Some voices in there from the past that aren't very friendly. Perhaps you're still hearing some messages from your parents or people you grew up with. And those voices that aren't very supportive. You and only you can decide who has access to your inner world. You and only you. And you can decide and claim this inner world. You can set it up the way that is most supportive for you. Thinking of your body as the temple where your soul lives. And your inner world where you are reflecting out to the external world, the microcosm of the macrocosm. So what do you want to set up in your inner world? I invite you to first notice how you're doing in this moment. How are you breathing? Notice that. It's really important. Sometimes if we've had a stressful day, we tend to shallow breathe into our chest, and you want to take that breath all the way down into your belly. And the moment you do that, you let your mind, body system know that all is well. Turns off all alarms, takes you out of that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response and into the healing state, the parasympathetic response, where we regulate, where we get back into homeostasis. So take a few breaths deeply all the way in. I like to say breathe in through your heart and down into your belly. Breathing in as you move your awareness to your heart, some of that compassion, acceptance, and love for yourself. Just exhaling whatever you'd like to release in this moment. Think about the breath as like a breath of fresh air, breathing through your inner world, breathing what is needed and exhaling what you'd like to clear out. 2 more deep breaths, breathing in and exhaling, letting go. On this 3rd breath, I invite you to bring in what you need, a quality, a feeling. What do you need in this moment that will help you be present to yourself? Do you need some calm energy, peace? Breathe it in, all the way in throughout your body. And exhaling anything like it, anything unlike it. Just letting go of anything, any non-peaceful thoughts, any non-calm energy, letting go into this moment. And really just being present. And perhaps you can take this time to call back your energy where it's kind of out there, maybe concerned about the world, concerned about a relative, loved one, your work. Just call back your energy. Come on back. I need you. Just come on back. And check in with your body, your beloved companion for this journey. How is your body feeling in this moment? And what does it need? So just listening now on the inner, listening to your body, listening to any of those soul messages, that wisdom that bubbles up, that's been wanting your attention. Just tuning in, listening, being present to all that is you. being. Before I invite you to open your eyes, I'd like you just to honor yourself for a moment. There's a lot going on in the world and in our personal world. I invite you to take a moment just to honor yourself by saying something like, yeah, this has been a hard week. I honor you for getting through what you needed to get through. Or I really honor myself for maintaining a state of balance through all the chaos. Or maybe something you appreciate. You just really want to pause and honor where you are and give yourself some love. Give yourself some encouragement. Give yourself some acknowledgement. And you know what? This isn't selfish. It's self-filling, filling back up. So you are more available to others. Okay, so whenever you're ready, come on back and open your eyes and come on back. And okay, so I like dropping in at the beginning for a little meditation. It helps center me because I'm just ending my day, and I want to shift into this space here and shift into whatever wants to come through my heart. But first, let's just talk about when you watch this replay, and I have some people live here. Thank you. But I do encourage you to check in the comments. How are you doing? What are you noticing? What are you noticing in the world around you? And how is that opening you? How is that calling you to do something different, which is really the key right now through this, well, the astrological weather in particular. We're all being asked to do things differently. We're in a huge transformational cycle. Have you noticed? It continues. It is continuing, and it will continue. And right now, though, sort of the call to all of us is to tend and mend our wounded places. I know I've talked about this a little bit, but it's very much alive right now. Mercury is conjunct Chiron. So Mercury is how we think, how we communicate. And Chiron is the wounded healer, where we're wounded. Chiron is like the mentor, wants to mentor us to healing and making better choices. And that has been like the refrain I keep hearing every time I go into meditation. How can you do this better? How can you do it better? Not in a shaming way, but in a, yeah, I can do this better. Whether this is your communication with a loved one, whether it's your self-care, whatever, we can do this better, right? And I love it. Cher, you had a day of gratitude. Awesome. Gratitude is so key, right? I always find that when I'm kind of stuck and getting in a little bit of a funky place, it's like the quickest healing remedy, right? Focus on gratitude. Focus on what we're grateful for, and it opens up such beautiful information. Remember, there's an aspect in our mind called the reticular activating system. It's like Google search. So if you're searching for what's not working, you're going to find that. You're going to find a lot of that. But if you search for what you're grateful for, then you're going to find that too. And then in addition, you're going to find what you're grateful for, and you're going to feel gratitude just flowing through you and igniting, more joy. I always get these little messages in the morning when I meditate. This was mine this morning. Let's see if I can remember it because I didn't write it down. It was something like, turn away from the noise and focus on the joys. And I love playing with words. So focus on the joys. What is joyful in your life? What brings you joy? This is really key. It's the way that leads us to our higher callings, our potential, our purpose. So, okay. So I have a few people, and please continue. If you have any questions, please do ask. If you're watching this replay, let me know where you're viewing from. And also, if you have any questions or what are your takeaways from today. So today, the theme really right now is, being willing to change. I always say everybody wants to transform, everybody wants something different, but not everybody likes to change, right? And then also, change is the one certainty that we have. What is that saying? The one certainty is uncertainty. Yeah, we are certainly going to have to change. And the other thing I like to say about that is I myself am getting older. Acceptance is like one of the greatest practices, but when you get older, it is a every day, almost every moment practice. When you have to accept, when you don't have to, it's a gift. Acceptance is a gift to accept. This is where I am. This is my capacity now. This is what my body is doing. This is how I'm shifting. This is how I'm changing, and accepting right where we are with whatever circumstances we are in. Acceptance and gratitude, they're great allies to support us, I think. All right. So, but change is what I'm thinking about. I want to share a little technique I came up with for people who, are setting intention to change. Maybe you want to change how you're eating, how you're taking care of your body, or changing how you're interacting with people, or changing anywhere you want to change. Change requires consciousness. We have to evoke the change through a conscious choice, right? Otherwise, we're just going to be in our subconscious mind and we're not going to change because it's our comfort zone. I talked more about this last live, I believe, but I'm going to pull up my notes so I can read a quote to you from the lovely Eckhart Tolle. And before I do that, this is the other thing I did want to talk about now that I see my notes. Anybody feeling irritated or frustrated out there? Anybody? Comment if you're noticing, and claim it with gratitude. And gratitude seems to be alive in this conversation, because irritation and frustration are growing pains, okay, or birth pains, rebirthing, right? And so we may notice we're frustrated, we're irritated, and that's really, for me, it's like our soul saying, you're outgrowing some patterns. The old way isn't working. There's a new way that is yet to emerge, or a new you that is yet to emerge. So it's kind of that uncomfortable, irritated. Think about a baby, a toddler cutting teeth, right? They're pretty fussy. They're pretty irritated. Yeah, it's painful to grow their teeth, right? It is challenging to grow emerge out of the cocoon that we've been in, emerge out of the limited spaces we've been living in. I've worked with a lot of clients, this last week in particular, and I imagine more this week, because we have a very huge choice. That word I definitely chose, huge astrological event happening on Saturday, which is Jupiter, the planet of expansion, conjuncting Uranus, the planet of change. And that's just saying it nicely. I mean, Uranus is really the it's like this rebellious energy, this deeply transformational, deeply like there's a word that's escaping me. It's like very sudden change. Like, nope, we're not doing it this way anymore. And wherever Jupiter makes contact, it expands, amplifies, and also blesses. So this isn't a bad thing. It's like a big wake up. Uranus is also considered, the planet that brings awakening. So wherever this is in your chart, is making significant contact with your chart and in your personal experience, but in general, collectively, we're all being invited to shift out of old ways. I kept having this image today in my meditation of just like shedding, like layers upon layers of, old stories. And as I noticed my inner world, I was like, wow, I was surprised to find how much judgment I was holding, and how much I was still holding on to some places where I felt betrayed, where I felt hurt, where I felt not treated very kindly. And I was like, wow, this is still in here. And in my meditation, I was like, shed it all. Don't need all this, because transformation requires us to reclaim our authentic self, our authentic expression, our true nature. And our true nature, I believe, is pure. It's love and joy, and it doesn't hold any of the muck and mire of the human experience. So this is a time for some good spring cleaning. And boy, I'm just bringing out all the spiritual tools today. Forgiveness is ultimate spring cleaning on the inner, right? And the way that it came to me as I was thinking about, wow, all this gunk I'm carrying still was like this. Forgive everyone for everything, and mostly forgive yourself for holding on to everyone and everything, wanting something different from them. Forgive it all and let it all go. So maybe somebody needed the message of forgiveness. And so again, this is, here's what I find with these lives, because I get emails from people. I'm just speaking about what I'm experiencing and what I'm noticing through people I serve and just in the collective. It's sort of my intuitive take on what's going on. I always love to know where it lands. And if you're feeling into what I'm saying, please do let me know. I'm just going to check and see if anybody else is here before I read the quote. And, oops, got to get back to my window. Here we go. Oh, I love it. Yes, totally. Cher's been purging closets. Everything, purging our external worlds, our houses. As we're purging, we're emerging more of our authentic self. So a good way to purge clothing in particular, I will admit, one of my challenging habits that I'm really wanting to shift out of is I love a good thrift sale, and I love to just pick up clothes here and there and don't need them. But I try to let go when I bring stuff in. I let it go. I live in a pretty small place, but a way to, around this time, like to be in our authentic self, to ask yourself when you're purging your closet, is this outfit, does it represent who I am now and who I'm becoming? Or is this me like 10 years ago? And I encourage you to let go of the things that don't represent who you are in this moment or that soul knowing of who you're becoming, right? So yeah, purge to emerge. Purging and letting go so you can emerge more of your authentic self. Awesome. Okay, anybody else doing some inner and outer spring cleaning out there? So since we're on the topic of change, I'm going to read this quote. I have two quotes here. One is, well, actually, this was one of my quotes from an old post that popped up today, and that is, there's a point in transformation where you can no longer look back. If you look back too long, you're going to lose the path forward. So, I am obviously a big proponent of doing our inner work, and in doing our inner work, we have to look back a little bit. But remember that reference that it's only a rear view mirror that we're looking back in. We don't, turn the whole way around to look behind us when we're driving forward. But at some point, you have to trust that I think you need to heal the past, bring forward your gifts from the past, especially right now. I keep saying this, it's a time to harvest your gifts. Who have you become based on what you have lived through, especially your wounded experiences, your challenges, your struggles? How has God sculpted you in to who you are today? And what are your gifts? This is an important time to do this right now. So, and then at some point, I've got all I need. I've got my gifts. I've got my, faith. I'm looking forward now. I don't need to keep looking behind me. I'm looking forward. Okay. So, but I wanted to talk about conscious choice. This is very key because this is where we make the new decision. And then how do we keep that alive and sustainable is important. Years ago, I used to teach a class called Conscious Eating. That saying that we teach what we most need to learn. That was very true about that class. And I may need to teach that class again because we can go so unconscious with our eating, can't we? We have so many references to, I call it in our food file, to what food is and how we eat and all of that have nothing to do with what food is, which is, well, let me ask you, why do we eat? What is the purpose of food? Is it for reward? No. Is it for comfort? No. Is it to eat away pain? No. These are all associations to food that aren't conscious. right? They're choices we made in an unconscious way to navigate whatever we were dealing with. So we bring it to consciousness. And I'm going to teach you this trick in just a moment that I came up with in my conscious eating class that I still use from time to time when I find that I'm kind of stuck. I say, oh, I'm going to change that. I'm going to do something different, or I'm not going to eat that anymore. I'm not going to drink that anymore. I'm not going to interact with that person anymore. And then I fall backwards. So I'm going to teach you that in just a moment. But here is the quote. Okay. So 2 quotes. One from Maxwell Maltz. And this is, his quote is, to change a habit, make a conscious decision. Then act out the new behavior. So this is a way to bring that to the subconscious mind, talking hypnotherapy here, is I often share this with my new clients. Like when somebody comes to me, they have an idea of what they want to accomplish and where they want to go and what they want to experience, but they can't seem to get there, right? So this is why I call myself a soul guide. So imagine, this is my analogy for that. Imagine you and I were going out on a hike on a beautiful day. And I say, where do you want to go? What's calling to you? What's your soul calling you to that's different? And you say, oh, I really want to experience peace of mind. I want to really feel healthy and full of vitality. I want to change what I'm eating. Oh, okay. So you point in a direction of what that may look like symbolically out where we're going to go hiking. And I'm like, well, let's go in that direction. And we start moving in that direction. And guess what? There's no path open. In fact, where I live, I use this metaphor in Washington State. Where I live, we're going out hiking, we may hit some blackberry bushes, with the thorns. We may hit some stinging nettle, get stung. We may hit, some bramble. We can't get through. There's no path. So what do we normally do then? We look for the open path. Oh, well, this path is well open and, well walked on, and I can walk easily over here. And that is usually what we do. I want this, but there's no path. So I'll go back to the default path, the path that's very, very familiar, and keep walking on that path. Healing, transformation, requires the conscious choice that I'm going to do something different. And then you do something different. Now with hypnosis, the difference is we kind of create those new neural pathways. This what I just taught you is the simplified version to explain kind of how the brain wires itself. The brain wires habits and patterns through what we do on the daily, every day. We practice it in, and then we don't even think about it. We unconsciously go in the same path every day. Reminds me, I have a little poem I'm going to read to you. But conscious choice says, I want to go this way. And then there's effort to clear the path before you. Now, say you clear the path once and you don't go back on that path for a month, it's going to regrow. In other words, you have to stay on the path of change and keep walking on it consciously, making the conscious choice every single day. And we all know, we've heard the theory of it takes 21 days to make that change. And I've heard different people talk about it. I just heard someone mention the other day, oh, that's because of the moon cycles. I thought that was cool. Sure. We can follow the moon cycles and note that on the 21st day, we're arriving somewhere new. And I almost want to say it was Maxwell Maltz. This could be a really cool synchronicity. I'm going to have to look it up. Who came up with the 21 days of change when he was the person, I think it was Maxwell Maltz, now that I think about it, but he was assisting patients who were amputees, and they still had the, phantom pain, even though they didn't have, say, their leg, they still had the phantom pain. And what he noticed consistently, that after 21 days, something shifted. They no longer felt, what wasn't there. It was like their mind reset, repatterned after 21 days to accept the new. So that's how I know of the 21, why it takes 21 days. You consistently do something for 21 days, your mind is going to repattern. It's like your subconscious mind has the information it needs to meet you where you are. So, okay, I hope this is making sense. I'm going to peek again, see if there's any comments or questions, and I have one more quote, and then drum roll, please. I'm going to teach you my little technique that is really wonderful, powerful, breaks you through to consciousness, and it will help you. Okay, no comments or questions. All right, great. I'll go back to my next quote, and then I will share. I will share my little tip. If you want to play along when I share the tip, get a piece of paper out and a pen. Ideally, if you have this on hand, if this is the replay, pause the video, go find an index card, or just a small, this is just a tablet, but I couldn't find my index cards. I like them on index cards because I think of index cards as training our mind towards something. So you can pause the video and go get what you need when I teach you this technique. Okay, now one more quote and then we'll get there. All right. So when I think about the greatest teacher right now on the planet for conscious choice, who came to mind? Eckhart Tolle. And, I was reading something about him the other day. I'm really getting into human design a little bit, which I'm fascinated with. And I was curious what he is. I thought, oh, maybe he's a projector. And I clicked on some article about human design and Eckhart Tolle, and they were saying you would think he has this one channel open, which is present moment awareness. And the writer said, and he does not, which tells you that anyone can practice in present moment awareness. In other words, it isn't natural for him. He trained it in, right? But okay, I love this quote here from him. Choice implies consciousness, a high degree of consciousness. Without it, you have no choice. Choice begins the moment you disidentify from the mind and its conditioned patterns, the moment you become present. Nobody chooses dysfunction, conflict, or pain. Nobody chooses insanity. They happen because there's not enough presence in you to dissolve the past, not enough light to dispel the darkness. You are not fully here. You have not quite woken up yet. In the meantime, the conditioned mind is running your life. I really love that quote from a hypnotherapist standpoint. It's basically what I'm teaching, and from a spiritual, being on a spiritual journey, kind of a spiritual teacher. I am a spiritual director, and before I even went through that training, I would find that most of my sessions leaned in that direction. We'd somehow be talking about the spiritual journey of my client. So conscious choice is the key, right? Now, let me quickly talk about what I learned in my hypnotherapy training, with the theory of mind is with hypnotherapy, and that is 5% of the time, only 5%, we're in our conscious awareness. We're efforting to be aware, to be mindful. When you first meet somebody, or say you go on that first date, or when you first get in a relationship, you're so conscious and you're, on your best behavior, and you're really your best self, right? And then you get married or you get settled into the relationship. Gosh, I've got this hair tickling me. So excuse me for all this, but I don't know if there's a little breeze. It keeps tickles my hair. I don't know. It's just, it's a little something to practice patience with, and acceptance and all the good stuff. So then you settle into the relationship, or, any relationship, but let's talk about an intimate relationship. You go from the conscious awareness and being mindful and carefully thinking about how you respond, and, presenting in your highest possibilities to your best self. And then you get married, or you get into a committed relationship, and then you settle in. And when you settle in, you settle into your subconscious programming. And so your subconscious programming, when you're in a relationship, opens up, what do I know about marriage? What do I know about relationships? What do I know about intimacy? What did my parents teach me? All these files open up in the subconscious mind. And then pretty soon, we're bothered by each other. Where did that person go? Or you may say to your partner, you're not the same person you were. Or they'll say that to you. Or you never used to be like this. Well, yeah, because we were mindful, doing the best that we could to, connect with our mate. So, but I was just working with a sweet couple earlier today, and really, I always say your partnership or your friendships or your family, these are your training partners for consciousness to catch yourself when you go unconscious into what I call the old neighborhood with all your old patterns, and you've disconnected from your soul potential. You've disconnected from your authentic self, your true nature. And that's what we tend to bring when we are with people that we really, value. We really, want to show them our best selves. Or, could be the persona we're leading with. But I think most people know the difference. You can feel in when you're in your authentic self and when you're kind of unconscious, right? So the key is conscious choice. So subconsciously, we need to update our subconscious mind. We become conscious. This isn't working. Identify what would work better, and then visualize that. Give that to your subconscious mind. Create a vision board. Tap it in. Whatever tool you have to transform, to update your subconscious mind, use that. I have many. I've done so much training with tapping, energy psychology, hypnosis, NLP, all these transformational agents for change, right? So this is my little tip I'm going to teach you. Okay, so let's do, because you could do it with a person. Let's do it with food, because this works better. I mean, you can apply it anywhere. You've been saying, I want to change this, but you keep slipping into the unconscious familiarity. Remember that the subconscious mind is familiar, has all this information, everything you've been training in since you were a baby to the present age you are. All of that is the majority of your subconscious mind. And the majority of that from 0 to 7 is the biggest imprint of familiarity. Because from 0 to 7, our primary need was getting met of needing to feel safe in the world. So whatever was programmed in between 0 and 7, that's really wired into your default programming. Okay, so this is bringing consciousness. So if anybody's with me wants to say, is there like a food that I'm not going to eat? Like for me, it was cheese for a long time. I'll use that as my demonstration. I consciously knew that cheese was not good for me, but I had so many unconscious associations that everything about cheese was just spectacular. I mean, who didn't? I wanted a cheesy pizza, and I wanted cheese. Let's eat all cheese. I had this romantic, it was a borderline addiction. Like I love cheese, but cheese did not love me. So what I do, identify something that I'm eating too much chocolate or cheese, or maybe it's alcohol. Maybe, maybe it's a habit of like not exercising and you want to exercise. So right on the top of your list, so I'm going to just write cheese because that's something I want to become conscious about, right? I want to be not in my unconscious associations that aren't true for me. I want to bring some consciousness to this. So I just told you what my associations are. So you might feel into yours like, okay, when I'm eating chocolate, I feel like it's so wonderful. If I'm drinking a glass of wine, I'm feeling, for me, wine was deeply associated to my girlfriends. So I was noticing drinking a little bit more wine because I was missing connection with my friends, right? So whatever yours is, just write it at the top. Now, this is the truth telling, getting real. For me, checking in with my body, and if you're working with a food or a substance, check in with your body. What does your body want to tell you about? So for me, my truth is when I ate cheese, what would happen? I'd feel bloated. I'd have some digestive distress. And then I have this huge mucus buildup in my throat that I would have a hard time sometimes breathing. It got so bad. So, mucus buildup. I'll just put that. Okay, so now I want you to have these cards on your, in your purse, available in the kitchen if it's a food issue. And when you have that unconscious pull, like, oh, I really want cheese right now. Oh, cheese sounds so good. I go get my card and I cross out the word cheese. and I say, am I really craving being bloated, having digestive distress, having mucus buildup? No, I am not choosing that. I am not choosing that. And I interrupt the unconscious familiarity with all those associations about cheese that are not true for me. I might have seen a lot of commercials and all the associations to cheese that I have to break that in a conscious way. You see? So you can do this. You can do it with a person, like sometimes, like, we have friends that we leave and we feel drained and we feel, unnourished and unmet. And yet it's my friend, and friends, we have all these associations to friends. And maybe you had some good times with that person. So you write it out. You put the person's name down and you say, oh, so-and-so asked me if I wanted to come visit. Consciously, not associations, but consciously, do I have enough energy to feel drained? Do I want to, you speak to the reality, the conscious truth. And that is where you want to choose from over and over and over again. And that's what transformation is. Awareness, and then making the conscious choice over and over and over again until it becomes a new pattern. The new neighborhood is what I call it. Okay, any questions on that? I have one poem I'm going to read before I leave, but how does that feel for you? If you're watching the replay, let me know. And I don't know, it looks like I have a few people still here. Did that make sense for you? Do you have any questions about that? Okay, I have this fantasy that someday I'm going to come on live. I'm going to have a lot of people and we're going to be asking questions and we're going to be having like workshop going on someday, but not today, apparently. All right, I'm getting over time here. I'm going to read this. I paraphrase this all the time with my clients, but I'm going to read the actual poem that speaks so well. Oh, I thought I had it on my screen, so I have to pull it up again. That speaks so well to the process of consciously changing. And let me just pull it up here. So I wasn't prepared for that. It is called Autobiography in 5 Chapters. And this is what this is how consciousness helps us. My analogy was to open the path and walk on it. And this is very similar. Okay, chapter 1. Chapter 1. I'm trying to see if it has the author here. And of course, the one I pulled up does not have the authors. I'll get that and put it in the description. Okay, chapter 1. I'm sorry, my computer is glitching. Why? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm having a little Mercury retrograde glitch. Hang in there with me. I hit something. Hopefully you guys are still here. Okay. I have to pull it back up because it glitched and froze the screen for a second. So hopefully you guys are still here. I'll come back to you. Okay. Let me just check with you guys. Okay, looks like we're still live. Okay, great. Okay, so now I have the author, and the author of my autobiography in 5 short chapters is no. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. I am really having some issues, and I'm okay. Here we go. I was going to blame it on Mercury retrograde, and it may be a little Mercury retrograde, but okay. It's by Portia Nelson. Okay, here it goes. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault, but it takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is the deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down a new street. I love that so much. It's so clear. This is what transformation requires. Consciousness. Otherwise, we keep falling in the same hole, the same pattern, the same situation, right? And this could be in relationships or with food, all of it. Anyway, I hope that's it. That's what I have. And I hope that there was something that I offered you today that was helpful, that met you where you needed to be met. Just sending so much love to you. There's so much going on in the world. I just, the best we can do is take care of our inner world, contribute what we can to the external world, and hold that high watch, that high vision for something greater yet to be for all of us. All right. Peace be with all of you. And I'll be back, I think this week to talk a little bit more about that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And I'll be back again next Tuesday at 4:44 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. Peace be with you. Until next time. Bye-bye.